I've seen sellers walk away from an $800,000 sale over $1,500. And this is happening all over the Twin Cities right now. All of this is because too many homeowners are still trying to sell like it's 2022. And in 2026, that mindset is costing them deals and money. I'm Rowe with RE/MAX Results and Team Steady. My team and I have helped thousands of people buy and sell homes here. And today I'm going to show you how to price your home, prep it, and negotiate the right way. Back in 2022, your email might have had 4, 5, sometimes 6 offers stacked in it by Sunday night. Half of them waiving the inspection, waiving the appraisal, with buyers begging you to pick them. And the crazy part is you could have listed a house that needed work, skipped the repairs, skipped the staging, and still gotten top dollar. I know because I was right there in the middle of it. But that market is gone. And the sellers who haven't accepted that are the ones whose homes are sitting, going stale, and getting price cuts anyway. Because right now, buyers have more homes to choose from. So instead of rushing into yours, they'll tour it, look at 5 more, take their time, and negotiate. Homes that used to sell in a weekend are now sometimes taking closer to 6 to 8 weeks on average before closing. And that's completely normal in a more balanced market. But it feels slow if you're still thinking it's 2022. There's also one thing buyers notice the second they walk through your front door, and we'll get to that in a minute, so stick around. Now, I see this happen over and over. A seller comes to me with a price already locked in their head, usually based on what the house down the street was selling for years ago. Then I pull the comps and tell them we need to price it right from day one. But sometimes they don't want to hear it. So we list high, the first weekend gets traffic, but no offers. Then the showings slow down, and a couple months later, we're cutting the price just to get buyers back through the door. By then, the home's gone stale, and they end up selling far less than if we had priced it right from the start. That's one of the most expensive mistakes I see sellers make, and I don't want that to be you. And quick pause here before we keep going. If you're already wondering what your home could sell for in today's market, that's what I help Twin Cities homeowners with every day. Grab your free home valuation tool from the link in the description today. All right, let's get back to it. The number you put on your home the day it hits the market decides almost everything that happens after. Because in 2026, the difference between a home that sells and one that sits usually has to do with price. Across the suburbs, most homes are selling somewhere in the mid 400s, depending on the area and the type of home. And that's steady growth. Nothing like those wild jumps we saw a few years ago. So the first thing you've got to accept is the market isn't handing you appreciation anymore. You've got to earn your price. And pricing is more important than ever since buyers are already doing the math, and with mortgage rates still in the mid 6s, every extra dollar you add to the asking price shrinks the number of buyers who can afford your home. And stick with me because a little later, I'll show you one of the best ways to protect your price, and it has almost nothing to do with the number on your listing. Now, if you price your home well above the recent comps, buyers aren't going to argue with you. They're just going to scroll right past it on Zillow. They can see the same sales you can, and at the moment, homes across the Twin Cities are closing at about 98 to 99% of asking price. So the market rewards sellers who price right from the start, not sellers hoping someone overpays. But not every area plays by the same rules. Some pockets are still super competitive. Golden Valley has been on fire lately with homes moving in just a couple of weeks, and where I spend most of my time, Maple Grove, Plymouth, and Champlin, demand is still strong, and a well-priced home can move fast. But even in those hot markets, you can throw out a high number and expect it to stick. Even in the best neighborhoods, an overpriced home still sits. Okay, so pricing gets buyers to click on your listing, but getting them through the front door is about something else. A buyer walks in your living room on a Saturday afternoon, phone in hand, comparing your home to the 3 others they toured that day. And in about 10 seconds, they've already decided if yours makes the shortlist or not. That's the real impact of condition and presentation. And too many sellers still treat that like it's optional, when it isn't. Back during the COVID rush, buyers were waiving inspections, buying homes they'd never even walked through, and taking on problems because they had no leverage. And that convinced a lot of sellers the condition of the home didn't really matter. It does now, because buyers have choices and they want something they can move right into. A big part of the buyers out here are families moving to places like Plymouth, Maple Grove, Chaska, Chanhassen, and Champlain. And they want to unpack and enjoy their summer, not spend the first few months dealing with a leaky basement or a furnace that's ready to quit. If your home looks dated or unfinished in the photos, they'll just move on before they even schedule a showing. So what's the baseline today? Well, start with a deep clean and a super thorough declutter. Professional staging helps. Great listing photos are a must, and the basics need to be done, like fresh neutral paint, clean carpet, and working appliances. That's not going above and beyond anymore. It's just what buyers expect. Then you've got the bigger ticket items. And after the winters we get up here, I see buyers asking for roof credits all the time, especially on older roofs with wind or hail damage. And they're bringing roofers out to inspect them too. If your roof is getting up there in age and it's showing wear, you should expect that conversation. I've got a roof on my own house that took a beating this year, so I get it. The same goes for your furnace and AC. If they haven't been serviced in years, buyers are going to notice. So a simple tune-up before you list can save you from a much bigger repair request later. And in some of the older Twin Cities neighborhoods, sewer scopes are becoming more common too. So my advice is this: get ahead of it. If your roof is getting older, have it inspected before you list. Maybe even get a second opinion. Then share that report with buyers up front. This can be a lot, but it changes the whole conversation. Buyers feel better when there are no surprises, because once they find something during their own inspection, that's when the repair requests start piling up. So again, get out in front of these issues before the buyer's inspector does, because that puts you in a much stronger position once you get to the negotiating table. All right, now let's get to know some tips for your negotiations when that time happens. Many sellers hear the word concession and think they're losing, but that's costing people deals all over the Twin Cities. As I said in the start of this video, in 2026, the sellers who close are the ones who know when to give a little, and I've been on both sides of that table. Used the right way, a concession is just a tool. It gets the deal done and gets your money in the bank. Start with this: multiple offers are not a guarantee anymore, and they shouldn't be your expectation. There are fewer buyers and plenty of them don't even want to compete. I'll get a text from a buyer's agent asking if we've got offers yet. And when I say yes, sometimes they just reply, okay, we're out. So don't count on a bidding war. And this might sound surprising for first-time sellers, because when you were the buyer, you had the leverage. You asked for the inspection, and if you didn't like what you found, you walked away. As the seller, that flips. Buyers have to choose your home, so it has to be priced right, marketed right, and show well just to get them through the door. Here in Minnesota, the contracts lean toward the buyer, so you can't just decide you're done with the deal. And if it falls apart during the inspection or financing contingency, that earnest money most of the time is going right back to the buyer, like I said. We can do things to strengthen your position, of course, but you've got to understand where the leverage is from the start. So instead of fighting that leverage, use it. One of the best tools right now is a 2-1 rate buy down. Let's say you got a solid offer, good buyer, good financing, clean terms, but they come in a little under asking or ask for help with closing costs. Your first reaction might be to say no, but there's a better option. Instead of cutting $15,000 or $20,000 off your price, you can pay for a 2-1 buy down. That lowers the buyer's interest rate by 2 points the first year, 1 point the second year. Then it goes back to the normal rate in year 3. For the buyer, that can save them hundreds of dollars every month when they're trying to make the payment work and make your house work for them. For you, it might cost somewhere in the range of $8,000 to $10,000. Instead of taking a much bigger price cut, so you keep more of your money while making the deal work. I've watched sellers lose a great buyer over $1,500. Something comes up during the inspection, the buyer asks for a credit, the seller refuses, and the buyer walks. That happens all the time. Now the home's back on the market and every new buyer starts wondering, well, what happened? What's wrong with this home? That could end up costing way more than the original $1,500 ever would have. Painful, right? Just do the math. If you're making $80,000 to $100,000 on the sale, is it worth losing the deal over $1,500? Making another mortgage payment and starting all over with a stale listing? I'm not saying give buyers everything they ask for. Just be reasonable and think through things. I've personally sold 2 of my own homes, one under asking and one over asking, and both sold in the first week because I worked with the first reasonable buyer. I said yes to some things, no to others, and we got the deal done. On my first sale, I was moving from a townhome into a house, and I didn't want 2 mortgage payments. The buyer wanted a few $1,000s to make the deal work, so I made it happen because closing the deal was way more important than winning every little negotiation. That's the mindset that helps you walk away happy, but knowing when to hold firm and when to give depends on what's happening around your home, not what's making headlines on the national news. Speaking of which, turn on the national real estate news and it's the same story over and over. Prices crashing, the market collapsing, the sky is falling. I'd tune out of all of that. Real estate is local and those headlines are built for clicks, not for helping you sell your home. So let's look at what's happening here in the Twin Cities. The Southwest Metro, places like Victoria and Chaska, are still super desirable, and the Northwest suburbs where I spend most of my time keep attracting families who want more space, an easier commute, and that 4-season lifestyle. At the same time, some condo and townhome markets have cooled off a bit, and homes above the mid-600s are taking longer to sell as buyers hit their budget limit. So every neighborhood is a little different. But if you look at the metro as a whole, things are still steady. Inventory has gone up, but it's still below what's normal. And homeowners who bought 5 years ago are sitting on a healthy amount of equity. And when you look past the headlines, Minneapolis and its suburbs keep showing up on best places to live lists because of the parks, the lakes, and the quality of life. The point is, you can't make a big decision based on metro-wide averages because they don't tell you what's happening on your street. What matters is how long homes near you are taking to sell, what they're actually closing for, and what you're competing against. That's how I figured out the right price and the right strategy for your home. That's what a real market analysis is for. Not a Zillow estimate, not a scary news headline, but a close look at your neighborhood and your comps. Price it for today's market. Get it ready, negotiate instead of digging in, and trust your neighborhood over the national headlines. Get those 4 right, and you'll be the one cashing the closing check instead of watching your home sit. So if you're thinking about selling this year and want a real number for your home, email me today, and I'll put together a custom market analysis for your neighborhood. The sooner we price and position your home the right way, the more of your equity you're going to keep. And if this got you wondering where your own neighborhood lands, the video I've linked here breaks down why some Twin Cities homes are sitting for months while others just 15 minutes away are pulling multiple offers over asking in a couple of days. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.